Welcome to the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast. My name is Dave Deacon. It is our second episode, so thank you for making your way back. And while you're, diving into the second episode, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and you can get more episodes like what we had last week, and then, of course, this one. Now, this week, we are coming to you from Dr. Jason Warren's research lab on the agronomy farm at Oklahoma State University, because we have a large group this time. Now, with that said, I need to send Jeff Wright with Foundation Seed a very special thank you for hosting us last time. Thank you again, Jeff. I hope we got the conference room put back in order and we get our deposit back. Now, I am going to give you a heads up. We do have kind of a long podcast this week, but it's worth staying through all of it. We're talking about mental health with some ag producers that created a way to make it through some of life's tough times by having someone to talk with. Well, about anything on the farm or off. It's a great conversation about five guys that created a way to check on each other and take their friendships into almost kind of like a brotherhood. We'll have that in a few minutes, but first, let's get an update on the crops across the Southern Great Plains with Oklahoma State University Cropping Systems Specialist, Dr. Josh Lofton.
We got our rain, didn't we? Or moisture anyway, at least here.
We got some.
Yeah.
That's we got about enough to kick the can down the road.
Yeah.
The places that really needed it, with the in between a little bit of snow and a little bit of ice,
right,
sleet, what have you. We got some, and we got enough to sustain us for a little bit. And barring it getting a little too dry in the future, we potentially have some to get us to this next rain. The problem is the thing we talked about that we really needed was just a lot of rain.
Yeah.
A good multiple inches and to kind of really set us up, and we just haven't found that yet. But the good thing is we have been able to kick the can down the road a little bit, and so folks that have things that probably didn't look too bad going into it probably still have things that don't look too bad coming out of it. So the forecast calls for a little bit of chance of rain kind of on the back end,
right,
but a little bit more moderate temperatures and some good growing conditions. So we could potentially see wheat. We've already seen it, kind of take off.
Right.
We've already started seeing the wheat moving.
Yep.
Dr. De Silva's are, showing those first hollow stem days, and we are moving on that wheat and canola and some of our cover crops. But so with that happening, we are going to need to catch some of those rains to make sure we can keep going and sustaining.
Well, and overall, how has the plant sustainability been going through there? I mean, are the plants growing? Are the plants are we looking good? Because there for a while, I mean, the wheat in Oklahoma was, I don't want to say stunted, but I mean it didn't look the greatest in parts of the state.
Well, and that's really just going to depend on where you are.
Right.
And canola's that way, and our cover crops are that way, and kind of everything's kind of that way. Everything we talked about 2 weeks ago,
right,
is that way. However, where we have had good moisture, because we have started to get a lot warmer,
right,
you are starting to see some of those really early maturing, wheat varieties, as like I said, with Dr. De Silva and her first hollow stem, showing that a lot of them are starting to pop here pretty quickly. So we are moving, and it's a nice early move. Mm-hmm. So especially if we have some winter crops that didn't put on a lot of vegetation in the fall because of the either the drought or cold or,
right,
or something along those lines. We have the warmth. Now we
right,
just need to make sure those places also get the moisture, and that's kind of where we're still at a standstill in some places, where other places that potentially have gotten a decent amount of moisture. We talk about places a little bit to the east. They didn't have that problem of getting good vegetation early.
Right.
They got a little bit more rains, especially east and south.
Yeah.
They got some decent rains in the fall, so they were able to get a little bit of that growth. So some of the places, north central, especially the northern part of that north central region, are still probably going to be suffering from just growth. But you talk to folks that are out with the wheat, their wheat trials and looking at wheat patches around the state. Overall they aren't negative.
Right.
where we had really bad stands and we maybe really grazed heavy or something along those lines, we've gone backwards a little bit. But there's still a lot of promise for a lot of fields, especially the further to the central and the east part of the state you get. Unfortunately, some of the west part is still suffering, and 0.4 of an inch or something like that through ice isn't going to substantially help us. But there is some movement and hopefully some potential with just this little bit of moisture we got. But we talked about as soon as the plant starts growing again and flipping that switch, we're going to need to get more consistent rainfall. So we're kind of at that part where that plant's going to flip the switch. Now we just need the more consistent rainfall
and consistent temperatures too, because so many times this time of year, here we are, the beginning of March, and a couple of weeks down the road we could have 70-degree weather, and then the next day it could be 20.
Well, I was just looking at the forecast, and later this week we're going to be in the 80s.
Yeah,
and so but for anybody, which probably most of the folks we listen to, that looks around the Southern Great Plains and is not expecting that Easter cool down and a good Easter freeze.
Yeah.
Just welcome to the Southern Great Plains. But that's still going to, the likelihood of us just going right into summer right now and just continually warming up, having a nice spring without these cold snaps is probably very low. So, we're still going to get those cool periods, which, wheat and canola, a lot of our forages that are pretty resilient. They've grown with that. We've bred them for those kind of conditions. So hopefully it'll happen sooner than later. That way we can just get it out of our system and kind of go into it. I think the biggest issue that happened last year, with some of our wheat is we were already headed when we got that ice and the freeze and stuff. That's where we don't want to be. But if we get, in the next month, a cool down, we'll probably be fine, as long as once again we're right now limited on the moisture, and that's kind of where we are. The good thing is the prices are looking a little bit better. Right. So if we can get even a decent bushel per acre off, given that price is sustained, then we potentially could make decent gains from that. But there's a lot of volatility going on in the market right now. So within 14 days ago, things have changed a lot in agriculture in the world and everything. So there's a lot of volatility going on right now. So there's one of those things that we just can't sell out, one way or the other. But the good thing is we did get that moisture. We would have been in a worse spot if we just didn't get anything. Now when spring hits and we start kind of counting on those more frequent and frequent precipitation events that are rain, not as much ice and wintry mix, that we'll just need to not be missing them. We need to start catching them more than missing.
Dr. Jason Warren is in a class right now. He's teaching a class, and then Brian's
which doesn't that terrify you more than anything?
It kind of does. It really does. But no, he's teaching a class, and then Dr. Brian Arnell, he's at a stock show right now. Mm-hmm. He's doing the stock show.
It is that time of year.
I know. It comes earlier and earlier every year.
It stays the same time. It's just you don't realize that.
But and then so kind of talking with what Brian would have covered. Let's talk just briefly about some of the soil nutritional needs right now, because top dress folks are talking about top dress.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those things that Brian's done some work. And if you talk about wheat, you talk about the last couple of years kind of showed that if we just don't have those good conditions, which if you didn't get it out ahead of this, which I know a lot of folks were pushing before these last two successive events, if you didn't get it out with this, showed that there's a lot of flexibility to even if your wheat's looking a little weak, nitrogen deficient, but still's got some good growth to it, that we do have time to delay and make sure that we're putting out nitrogen in good environmental conditions to make sure that it's able to capture that and keep going. the problem comes in with the price, and I'm not as familiar as he is with the details on price, but with the increasing oil prices, increasing natural gas prices due to other things that are going on in the world, I think I've seen some good indication that those components will probably be increasing as well. So the cost of it's going to continue to go up, but the good thing is if you got it in your back pocket, or if you're able to get it at a decent rate, you still have time, especially in our wheat. Our canola, we're getting a little bit on the back end of things. We like to have a majority of our nitrogen out pre-bolt. And so as that canola plant kind of wakes up and gets going, we want to make sure, one, for physically harming the plant, but two, that bolting period in early flower is when the canola plant needs it the most. So we need to make sure we have good material down for it. If you have canola, those last two precipitation events are probably where you needed to have the nitrogen out. That way it's not limiting. We start talking about summer crops. It's a lot of questions. Since the last time I talked, I think the more uncertainty is out in the countryside of. I don't know what I'm going to do, and it's one of those things that a lot of folks make that decision right about now on marginal wheat, or they typically either decide to keep their wheat and go to grain, or they decide to terminate it out and go to a summer crop. The last couple of years have gone towards the terminate summer crop. Well, with the wheat prices, if your wheat looks good, we'll probably see a lot more of those flip and go into a more, hey, I'm just going to keep this for grain because I've already got these inputs and I've already got it. So we might see a big push into our double crop production, whether it be beans or milo, or even late double crop corn, or even like we talked about last time, going into a forage after we harvest. So a lot of good options there. Oklahoma is known for having a really good double crop compared to single crop on a lot of our summer crops. So we have a lot of really good options, and most of the crops we have double crop have really good flexibility and options for going in after wheat. So if we do see that shift to kind of, instead of a lot of folks either grazing out or abandoning the wheat to go into a summer crop and maybe take it to grain, to think about a double crop or think about just fallowing out, we have some really good options ahead of us. So there's a lot going on. Yeah. There's a lot on producers' plates right now, and it's good. We'll talk a little bit later about mental health and trying to overcome some of these issues. But yeah, there's a lot to be thinking about, and I think we're still on the basis that we are last time. There's no right decision. There's really no wrong decision. There's just a lot of decisions to make, and a lot of moving pieces that we don't know the final end to them yet.
Well, I mean that's just that's just the rural life anyway, and we're going to talk about some of the implications of those decisions here in just a couple minutes. We're going to have I guess you'd call these guys a panel of. I
would say a round table, but we're on a square table,
well,
so you can't say that. But yeah, a good discussion on farmer mental health from some folks that were able to get a group together to get through the hard times, but kind of like we'll get through the good times as well, and kind of learn how to celebrate those good times and get through those bad times. I think that's the best way to think is. Sometimes we often hang on the bad stuff and forget about the good stuff. And we'll talk a lot today about hanging on the good stuff and forgetting about the bad stuff.
Well, and as much as anything, from just talking to him before, I think that they will, kind of talk a little bit about having at least a little light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And so,
and that's a good thing. And producers are one. You talk about statistics, Dave. You talk about depression rates for growers are really high. Yeah. People in agriculture have the highest suicide rates, or one of the highest suicide rates of any profession.
Right.
Suicide rates have increased in farming and agriculture by 40% over the last 30 years. So it's one of those things that sometimes it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but know that you have, comrades beside you, people beside you that are going through the same thing that you can talk to.
Yep.
You have people out there that really care, and it's one of those situations that you can sometimes get lost or wrapped up in what you're doing and forget that this is just a component, and everything else that makes you is what can get you to that light at the end of the tunnel.
That's right. So we will actually sit down with those guys here in just a couple of minutes, and thanks for your update on that, because I mean there's on the agronomy side, because there's a lot going on this time of year with the agronomy.
Well, and it's even in March, it's often a hard month to talk about agronomy because there's so many unknowns still yet, and so but this is the time that growers are making decisions. So
right.
A lot of unknowns, a lot of questions that like I said, maybe there's not a great answer to follow through, but there are some good options, and the good thing is with any sort of rain we get, we can kind of move that field goal a little bit down the course. That way we're not left with no options. We have some options available.
We can always kick a 3-point and win a game, hopefully.
I'm not big on field goals, Dave.
Well, you just said field goal, so I thought I'd try to stay with that. And I mean, I was trying to play into your analogy there. But we will be coming up back next with the guys, and we're going to chat about mental health and agriculture and just rural America too. So stick around.
Before we jump into the discussion about mental health with these 3 farmers from northern Oklahoma, I want to remind you that you can find resources to help with mental health and all that we talk about on this episode on our website, reddirtagronomy.com. And the guys asked that we put their contact information on there as well. If you're thinking about starting your own group, go ahead and reach out to any of them. And again, you can find that information at reddirtagronomy.com. Now, we do have a little disclaimer. None of us are trained professionals in the mental health field. We're just having a great conversation about mental health in rural America and how they came together and came up with their own solution. So sit back and listen to the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast.
Welcome back to the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast. And while we talk a lot about the soil and the science and all of the fun stuff under the ground, we also going to take a look at some of the ag producers that work the land, that live the land, that make a living off the land. And Brian, Vincent, you guys have a pretty cool group of a band of brothers almost. And tell me about your group that you guys have.
So Joe Tripp and Tom Cannon were at a ball game and thought we ought to just get some guys together and kind of have a breakfast meeting, talk about the farm, talk about what's going on. And Tom, how did that conversation go? You and Joe?
Well, we were at a basketball game, and the only 2 guys with cowboy hats in the place decided to sit down together. We got to BSing a little bit and mainly talking about production ag. That's what our focus was really going to be about. And we thought, well, if we're going to do this and have this kind of a meeting, Joe said, let's get a banker in there, which I wouldn't have ever done that, but right. Joe did.
He only came once.
Yeah, he did. He only came once.
We just wanted him there to pound on.
Right, right. And we both banked with him at the time, so that worked. He came, and we had a couple of area agronomists that came, and then producers. Mm-hmm. And Brian was kind of a mix of the two because he's his own producer and he's an area agronomist and has a lot of contacts. So we got this group together, and like Joe said, after the first week, the commercial agronomist never came back and the banker never came back. Yep. We were left with this core group of 5. Marty Williams and Gary Williams were also a part of it. Mm-hmm. And what it became quickly, I'd say by our 3rd or 4th meeting, was really a mental health support group.
Yeah.
That's what it became really quick. We got close fast.
Yeah.
We all knew each other, just not nearly as well. And a few of us were going through some emotional problems at the time, either with our family or with our business, with finance, whatever. And it was amazing how the Lord really put us together like he did, and then allowed us to be transparent enough to help each other.
And that's a lot of it. I mean, you can be friends with someone, but that transparency with your friends, that's the next level.
Well,
being able to open that book
mm-hmm.
and actually showing what is in your heart and being able to express that. And then the other side is listening. You know, anybody can talk,
mm-hmm.
but being able to listen and just show that love from an open ear and an attentive eye. So that's a lot of it. For the, you know, you're defined by your 5 closest friends,
mm-hmm.
and you know we're tight,
mm-hmm.
and it doesn't matter if it's 5 guys or if it's 2 guys,
right?
But having somebody that you can depend on and somebody that genuinely cares makes a big deal. But in that, you've got to be willing to be that person for someone else also.
The thing that, and I had said this in the past, that really made this, or one of the aspects that really made this happen or work the way it did is I could talk to these guys about what's going on the farm and the problems, and they understand it. I've been married to my wife for 25 years, and she thinks she's a farm girl, and she is. But to this day, even this morning, she has no idea the financial side or what it takes or what's going on. You know, I mean, she thinks she knows what's going on, but she doesn't really. And so some of the questions she comes out of the blue is just she can't relate like these. So I could talk to her about something that's, you know, bugging me,
right?
Or I'm fighting or whatever, but she didn't get it. You know, she doesn't know. And these guys, because they're in the trenches with you in the same battle, they understand. You know, you're having a problem. You know, the markets are against you, or you're dealing with the red tape, the government. That's something that's come out, or whatever. It just doesn't matter. I mean, these are the only guys that know because these are the guys who are in the middle of it with you.
How has that helped you? I'm not asking for specific, you know, instances or whatever, but you kind of alluded to they understand, but how has that helped you after you formed the group as opposed to before? Who did you go to before?
Well, the irony of it is I was already visiting with some of these guys beforehand. I mean, we just hadn't come together as a group.
Yeah.
So Marty Williams and I talk a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and it was weird because I'm a little older than him, and a few years ago I could see some things that he was doing, and I talked to him when we'd be on the phone. I'd talk to him about it and said, man, there's some things your life fixing to change. I said, you just don't realize it. It's just, and I've been through those steps already, and it has to happen.
Right.
And it has. I mean, and so, but me and him already, me and Brian, whoever, we already talked, you know, and we just kind of come together as a group, and so anyway.
Why 5? I mean, you could have that one person that you can.
I invited, like you said, an agronomist.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever showed, did he?
Oh,
he never did.
Come the first time.
This is the only agronomist we've had.
Yeah.
I wish we could do better. That's what we got, Brian. Sorry.
Brian's what you have. Yeah.
But no, seriously. When it was first together, when Tom and I first put this together, we were really wanting to be able to bounce ideas, agronomy-wise, just agronomic-wise. That's why it was going to be kind of a think tank, or, you know, because we realized the technology, whatever, is just moving so fast, and it's faster, and it's faster, and sometimes even you guys here at OSU can't keep up. I mean, it's just the federal government can't keep up. It's crop insurance, and if you have to use it, it can't keep up. I mean, it's just moving so fast, and so it was kind of Tom and I kind of talking at night about, you know, grabbing his information and whatever. I don't offer much, but I mean, hoping that I would, you know, and being able to improve my farming operation. Maybe, well, I learned this and I can apply it. And that's what it first started out to be. And like you said, it quickly changed.
There's a few things that really benefited the group. One of them was there wasn't any competition between us going into the group.
Yeah.
Brian and I weren't competing for acres, or Gary Williams and I weren't competing for acres anywhere. So you can kind of relax on that. And then even environmentally, even though we're only separated by a total of maybe 45 miles, I'd say.
Yeah.
Our micro environments are a little bit different. We were in different areas of production ag just a little bit. So there was enough difference to make us really gel well together.
Yeah.
And there was no threat to the group from the very first day. Right. And when we developed our relationships without a threat to start with, it was easier for us to be, pretty open about our finances and open about, what we're paying for rent, what we're doing for production. And it made it a lot easier. And I would highly recommend anyone wanting to start some kind of a group like this, that you start out with somebody you don't feel like you're in competition with. Yeah. Because farming, like all business, has become very competitive. And so if we can keep that away from the beginning, it really, really helps people.
Well, on top of that, there was no selfishness either. Any of these people in the group.
It's a very selfless group.
But no egos. It's hard to find that.
You sure, Joe?
Well,
did you break your mirror there, Joe?
Maybe.
That's funny. Well, and one thing people forget is farming is a business, and I'm sitting across from three businessmen right now who have thousands, hundreds of thousands tied up in their businesses, and what you said about just being an open book and helping each other out. Why is that more important in the ag industry than, say, another field of business? Just the level of transparency.
It's more passion. I mean, anybody that's in ag has to have a passion for it.
Right.
It's long hours. It's very demanding on the family. It's very demanding financially. A small little mistake can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
And so along with that comes a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And if we can mitigate some of that stress by having a band of brothers or a group of friends,
yeah,
just to talk about things and to try to alleviate some of that stress off. And I don't know about these guys, but it's when we meet for days after that, it's like I've been to a revival.
Yeah.
Because you're energized, we're positive. Even if we've had a catastrophe, if somebody's had, Tom's daughter was in a wreck, and it was really a catastrophe. But we came together through that time, and we came out of it stronger. And I think Tom's family came out of it stronger too.
Absolutely.
But it was a really tough time. COVID's been really rough on everybody. You turn on the news to watch the weather, and you got to see COVID numbers first. Yeah. And everybody's had friends that have passed away and loved ones, and Tom's mother passed away. And we've all had it. And it's just stressful, but having somebody to rely on, not family, not somebody you're in business with necessarily, but we have that strength through our friendship. And
there were some things that kind of helped set us up for success early on, and that was all fiercely independent, all multi-generational farms, pretty similar in age. And these things come together to where we really understand each other.
Right.
And so you get that together, and then really there's not a selfish person in the group. They're a very selfless group. And what you end up with is something that's just designed for success. And we're not smart enough to figure out how to put this together on our own.
Right.
I firmly believe that this was orchestrated by the Lord for us to go through the hard times that we've gone through since, and all of us have. Marital problems, and then physical problems, and et cetera. Life hits you. And because this was all orchestrated beforehand by someone of greater intelligence than us, that's for sure, we end up with something that is really quite amazing. And I feel so blessed to have this group. I mean, when my daughter had her wreck, it was a severe wreck. She was broken really in every extremity. And to have them all calling, all praying, and talking to other people, and coming in and helping. I had COVID also. I was in the same hospital as my mom when she passed. Well, Brian walked my fields for a week, at least a week, because there wasn't anyone, and we had a big outbreak of armyworms and soybeans this past summer, and could have lost a lot of acres real fast.
Right.
And I didn't have to worry about it, not at all. So.
There is a lot to that. Just having someone to lean on there. Hey, Josh.
Well, I had a question. You guys have kind of brought it up a couple of times, and we've talked about the group, so you guys can go back to how you handled it as a group. But you guys have talked about the last couple of years, economics and the weather, COVID, and all that. For growers out there that are dealing with the same thing that don't have this band, what are some good encouraging words that you guys can talk to them about overcoming, hopefully on the tail end of some of this stuff, but overcoming some of these issues that they've been struggling with? What are those things that you guys told each other, and what are those things that you guys use to maybe not overcome, but get through those times?
I would say stay positive. Every adversity has an opportunity, and I think that's what we're able to look at as a group. We can look at a bigger picture, and okay, we got rain, double crop beans got pushed late. Hey, why don't we plant double crop corn? And I think out of our group, there was maybe
all of us,
4,000 acres of double crop corn just in our group. Now that's really out of the box, but we were able to take advantage of something instead of having fallow ground, and late beans, man, we were pushing way too late, but we had an opportunity there, and in a late rain, and that was a thing to do. They're not great yielders, but the market sure did help out, didn't it?
It was interesting. You can tell we talked because I think everybody yielded within a couple of bushels of the same thing.
Wow.
Across different environments and different areas, and that was quite amazing. And then the market responded for us, and things went well with that. And that was almost a group effort. It was a group effort.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, down to trading bags of seed around among the group to get everybody done.
And corn headers and
yeah, exactly. There's 2 corn headers cut it all, doesn't it? Out of the three corn headers. Okay. Yeah. 3 corn headers cut it all.
Yeah. You guys have an amazing text group. I mean, whenever someone texts, I have a text group. And I'll just say it's family related that I go ahead and put on silent, and I don't really pay attention to until my wife says, "Hey, did you see that?" And I went, "Oh yeah, I need to go back and check that." But I mean, like, whenever one of you guys texts the other one, it gets everybody's attention, and that's important.
Yeah.
It's a really good way to get information out quick. If there's an emergency. I've got another one that's all production oriented.
Yeah.
Through WhatsApp. That is a pretty big group, but it's not personal. It's all about production ag.
Yeah.
It's all about different ideas on regenerative ag and et cetera. This group is my go-to for mental health support for sure, but also local data that we need and that we share. All of us are going to do some kind of a trial on our operation somewhere, and sharing that local information is really, really good too.
All of our expertise are different. How we approach our stuff is different. From my standpoint, I'm probably from the agronomy part of it, I'm probably the taker. I've come to the point in my life where my brain's tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired of trying to remember.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that foundationally I learned when I was in a program I went to down at TCU was, you can't remember all this stuff we're throwing at you.
That's true.
You just have to know how to go get it. Well, yeah, I grew some late corn or double crop corn this year. I can't tell you what my seed count was. I can't tell you what variety we planted. That's what I got these guys for. One of them suggested the seed and went and found it, and the other guy, I hired him to go plant it, and they figured, and I just relied upon, it's just, I've got other things so that's also, and I don't know that they dig so much information out of me. I'm probably the cheater out of the bunch from that standpoint. But I just, I guess that's another benefit that we've had from our group, it's just.
Joe, a lot of times you're the comic relief, too.
I am.
Got by far the best sense.
And I was just thinking about our text, I'm probably the bad boy out of the group. I'm probably sending stuff. It's funny, though. It's funny stuff.
Well, and that's worth it, too. I mean,
yeah.
And that's a big deal. If somebody has a catastrophe during between meetings or whatever, there's always that positive. There's somebody has something positive or something funny or something like that, because laughter, buddy, is the best thing in the world for your mentality.
I don't know if we answered your question, really, but I guess anything's encouraging or what, I don't know if this is encouraging or what, or just I take a little different outlook on my farming as I used to. I mean, we all have to be, you said we're businessmen. Well, okay, yeah, we have to be businessmen. I don't think, I try to take care of business, but I don't let it consume me anymore, and I don't worry about it because I can't control a lot of that.
Yep.
We're in risk management is our big deal.
Yeah.
We're businessmen, but it's all around risk management, and beyond that, I've just kind of taken a back seat and do the best I can, and I'm not going to now. A couple of years ago, when it was tough on all of us, it was really tough because we didn't know if we were going to be in business the next month.
Yeah.
That is probably the roughest thing I'd ever been through. They're talking sleepless nights.
Yeah.
18 months before that, different bankers rolling the driveway trying to get your business. Then 18 months later, they hate you. And here we are, we're back again, and we're better off than we were. It's an emotional roller. And I've watched them, my particular banker, there for a while, you couldn't do right. And then he kind of just like, we're all in this together, and it ain't his fault. It is what it is,
Yeah.
But I could see that. He never said that, but I could see that, but it's just, it comes to be, you can only do so much. And then that's kind of the approach I've taken on, and I really trying to keep my balances in life in check as far as my family time is important. Mm-hmm. We've all seen those guys that farm 24/7. That's all they think about. That's all they do. And they rarely go on vacation with their families and so on. And so if they ever do,
right.
We've got, and that's their thing. But, it's just, and that's some of the things I talked about with Marty in the past. I said, some changes are going to happen. I knew he was enough a family man. Changes were going to happen, and they did. And so, I don't know. We're businessmen, but the thing that helped keep my sanity is you hang it up when you walk in the door. So to speak.
Right.
You just don't let it rule you.
Yep.
Well, Brian, I know me and you have talked about it in the past, and it's a good. You brought it up. Is how do you keep that home life, farm life balance going? Where, how does that work, and how does the group help? You talked about that you told Marty before, hey, it's coming that you're going to need to shift that, but like you said, it's sometimes hard knowing that extra bushel that one more thing in the field I can do.
You always got, especially the way we farm now. The freedom to farm in '96 changed a lot of things in this area, especially. Up to that point, it was plant wheat, moldboard it, plant wheat, And we were very regimental for a generation and a half of what we did. Now it opened up the doors, and we're able to do all sorts of different stuff. That's great. Was it you, Tom, that was telling me that you don't even enjoy harvest? Somebody was telling me they don't enjoy harvest anymore because they're worried about, well, can I get the next crop planted? Can I? And we're just, our time is taken up so much now.
Harvest has become probably the third most important procedure. Planting, spraying,
risk management.
Yeah,
risk management is probably my number one concern as a manager of it. You know, I don't get on the tractor as much as I'd like to anymore, and so yeah, I think there's quite a few things that have to take a front seat to the actual harvest. We know we're going to get it harvested. Thanks to a lot of the breeding, I mean, harvesting is not as critical as has to be done right now as it used to be.
Right.
Well, and you sometimes have a crop that you're putting in that's more important than the one you're trying to take out at the same time.
Right.
I mean, it blow my grandfather's mind and a lot of grandfather's mind to watch a guy out there planting beans or spraying when his wheat's standing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before 96, by golly, it was just full throttle.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so sorry, Tom. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I mean, you're right. I mean, there's not a wheat field on my place that doesn't have a planter or a drill running in it at the same time as the combine. So that's true.
The one thing I was trying to get at that I almost, what you have to do is you really have to look at everything you're doing and yeah, you may have something you come across that you're wanting to do, that you're doing that, may benefit your farm or may make, but there's more than just a monetary weight there.
Yeah.
You got other things it may not be worth your trouble. You can't do it all.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be in 50 different enterprises. You just can't.
Mm-hmm.
And so you either got to, you've got to weigh those things out. And one of the things that's in life is you got to have happiness.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I like to farm, but there's sure a lot of other things I'd rather do, And so that's been one of the struggles I've had. Brian's always pushing me. I need to go spray this or spray that, and then you need to sit on the sprayer. I hate sitting on the sprayer. I hate driving Saturday afternoon around the curve and looking down there and seeing the fishermen, and I can't go fish.
Yeah.
Because I'm on the sprayer because that's when the wind's right.
Yeah.
So
aside from Brian telling you to go spray because that's the optimum time, how have these guys helped you realize that maybe I need to take a day, go fish?
I don't know.
Well, Marty had a good point. He said, I have a team of basically advisors.
Yeah.
But
Partners.
Partner teams of people. He said, I've got a machinery man that I rely on.
Yep.
Pretty heavy. I've got a banker that I rely on pretty heavy. I have an insurance agent that is on my team. I have an agronomist on my team. And he said, then I have this group of support.
Yeah.
And that's what our little group brings to his operation from a mental health standpoint and from a positive somebody with understanding of what's going on and genuinely cares.
Yeah.
The banker's there. Well, he's got to go for his board of directors.
Right.
And, the machinery man's answering to a manager at the shop and, all that. But this group is more for us. I mean, we're locked in arms and we're going to get through this life in the best mental health stability as we can. And that's a big part of it. Through catastrophes that we may have, there's always something positive that each one of us can bring that gets everybody back on even keel.
You can tell pretty quick whenever there's something that's hitting us nationally too.
Yeah.
Because our group and messages start lighting up, like the markets lately, where you have a limit up move followed by an expanded market limit down the next day. And I mean, there's been a lot of banter, hasn't there, Joe, over the last few days because of these wild markets and the problems in the Ukraine and that's in the East.
Some easy payoffs.
Yeah, he did. He said he was making. Okay, I'm gonna tell it.
No, you're not.
He was making money on the throne, so he was going to paint the lid of it gold and call it his pot of gold.
That's funny. That's funny.
I didn't think it's very funny.
I'm gonna bring you. I'm calling you out, Joe.
Next time he'll be painting the tank because he's going to flush it. Paint the
Well, then the
inside
next
of the
day,
tank.
the market was up the limit again. And I said, well, you should have stayed on the throne. Shouldn't have made a decision yet.
Oh, boy.
Said you left some money in there.
Just real quickly, it was 6:00 at night and the broker called me. There you
That
go.
doesn't happen very often.
No, he never calls me. I mean, once every 5 years or something.
Yeah.
Well, there's a whole rabbit hole there that we could
Yeah,
go
we're
down
done.
there. It's just-
But that's just an example. Whenever something major is going on, if the weather's getting significant, or if the markets are significant, or if somebody's marital life is significant,
Right.
whatever it is, we all know it.
Yeah.
And we know it in real time
Yeah.
when it happens. So that really, really, really helps. There's so many guys out there because farmers are fiercely independent.
Yes.
They obviously are, or they wouldn't still be in business. And we are too. But we've allowed ourselves to lower that some so that we can come together as this group because we saw the value. Mm-hmm. And we saw the value within the first month. Mm-hmm. So that's a big part of it. And we're supporting each other,
It almost seems like you guys get a better bond because you guys do share the good times and the bad times. And it's always that thing of, hey, you remember that one time you were in this situation? That it kind of almost adds some depth to this group that you guys have.
You can only do that with trust. I mean, you can only be able to do that if you trust each other. I mean, don't have to worry about what I tell these guys, vice versa, Mm-hmm. So,
do you see any of your farmers in your counties and think, man, they could really use something like this group that I have? I mean,
well,
Absolutely.
If we're selfish, it is in that we have kept our group what it is.
Yeah.
That's the selfish part of our group because, you see somebody and you go, he would be a good addition to our group. But with time came this trust, and it's really, really hard to potentially rock that.
Well,
when it's something we rely on. All of us rely on this group.
And that new person wouldn't have the history that you guys have.
Right.
well, not only that, you could bring a new person in, and 4 of you would be fine, but there'd be another one that's, I've had a bad experience with that guy, and so that trust is just jaded from the start.
Exactly.
We have had guests from other regions.
Mm-hmm.
I know we had a man from north central Kansas that came and joined us for a meeting, and he was a great addition. He hasn't got his whole group together yet, but I know he has some people in mind that he wanted to start a group, and he came and joined us and saw what we were doing, and
then sometimes occasionally a spouse will come.
Yeah.
If we got our spouse, we're going to go eat breakfast anyway. They'll come, throws a great new perspective on it, and our spouses all know about this group and know, we talk about it a lot at home, so they understand they're stepping into a group of men that have their own weird humor and all that.
Yeah.
But it's usually something that the poor guy, like let's say I go with Laurie, I'm feel very vulnerable because oh boy, what are they going to put my poor wife through, and therefore me.
Therefore me.
Yeah. So and then another time, like we had Mo Pitney. Mo Pitney's a country music singer from Nashville. Great guy. He was visiting. He was in Oklahoma for a turkey hunt, and so he came to our group. Probably one of the most impactful groups we'd ever had.
Yeah.
Devout Christian.
Yeah.
And supernatural things took place with the Holy Spirit in that group that day that have impacted all of us for our lives, for the rest of our life. So bringing in, guests like that is a wonderful thing. But it would be weird if he came back again, I think. I mean, he could come back once a year or something like that. It'd be great.
Right.
But if he became a regular part of the group, even though he's a dear friend of mine and Marty's too, it would still be kind of strange. So we're pretty close.
You've talked about your meetings. I mean, it's not like it's Thursday, we have to go to the secret clubhouse and go have our meeting. It's just it's a time whenever everybody gets together. It may not be set.
No, it's pretty much when Joe gets rain.
That's another thing.
Long time.
We have breakfast, and whoever has had the most rain since the last meeting has to buy the breakfast for everybody else.
That's great.
That's not
Joe,
fair.
It's been really good.
I
for
live
me.
east to everybody else. It's not fair.
Joe never has to pay.
I never buy.
Joe's never bought breakfast.
That's great. So how often do you guys sit down and have breakfast and get together?
Once every 5 weeks now.
Yeah,
probably.
ish.
Yep. It depends on what's going on. I mean, if there's something, if there's an emergency, we handle it mostly through our message group. But occasionally, because of the stresses of the world, we'll go, hey, we need to get together.
Yeah.
Right.
And there'll be a couple of people talking and go, wow, we really probably need to get together. They'll reach out to the others, and then we all try to get together.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's because of somebody else, somebody in the group that's having an issue that we know about, and we'll have a little side group. Hey, we all need to get together.
Yeah.
This is going on with
This person.
Joe.
this one. Yeah. Joe or Tom or Marty or Gary
It's been me.
or Brian. We need to get together because this issue's going on, and we need to be there for him, and we need him in person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and whenever that issue is happening, you guys, the other four kind of get together and say, "Hey, we need to watch. At least keep an eye on this guy."
So the day Reagan, Tom's daughter, had the wreck, we had a group of 4 on text message, and what was going on, and for the week there following, we were in communication, and who's calling Tom and we called probably every couple hours. Somebody called you for a week
Or texted to make sure.
right, and that way we weren't hounding him.
Yeah.
Because he was in tough situation, but we all knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And Tom would reply a text back, a detailed text, and we would share that with everybody.
Yeah. So Tom, as that was happening, I mean, you were obviously communicating with your family.
Mm-hmm.
Were you conscious about keeping the other 4 guys in the loop on this?
No.
It just
No,
happened.
I was so locked in on what was going on with Reagan that it was, I couldn't.
Yeah.
So their ability to come in and take ownership of my problem somewhat and then reach out to me was invaluable. Mm-hmm. It really was. I've had a rough year.
Yeah.
Just a number of things have hit, and I would not be in the same place today had I not had this group that came alongside me through the last year. I wouldn't be the same person today.
And if because everybody just needs a sounding board and somebody to watch out for them, and the other 4 guys did that for you.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, and it started back, oh my gosh, probably a year ago, where I had some mental problems myself, and then I got COVID in August. My mom died while I was in the hospital, and then it's kind of rolled right on through a pretty tough year. The only thing that hasn't been tough in the last year for me has been financially. Yeah. And I can just see how the wings of the Lord have overshadowed me.
Yeah.
Through these guys, because each one of them are in tune with the Holy Spirit, and so they know just in their spirit whenever I need something, and that was amazing. Mm-hmm. It really was. It was just supernatural events that blessed me for the rest of my life.
There is 2 themes that I'm really picking up on. There's the partnership between you all, but also your faith, and talk about why why your faith has been so instrumental in this mental health group that you have.
We start each meeting out with a prayer. Generally, there's a scripture reading, something that, and I guess I've kind of taken that on myself to pull a scripture. But if I kind of know what's going on with everybody, and I'll search a scripture that somewhat speaks to that issue, and I think that sets the stage for our conversation, for what's going on, what the relative point is for the day, and I don't know. I get a lot of strength from that. I probably get more strength from it from searching the scripture for the day than what they see. But keeping God first and is a big part of what makes it work.
Mm-hmm.
And
then we can hold each other accountable.
Right.
You know, there have been times whenever you'll see somebody doing something they shouldn't be doing, and because we've got this relationship that we've developed over a few years, we know that we can go to somebody and say, hey, straighten up in this or that, and know that accountability won't be a threat to them as a person. Instead, it'll be a way that we can build them up.
Yeah. Non-threatening. That's imperative with this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very much so.
What would be if somebody's out there, they're listening to this and they're thinking, man, I need something like this with in my area, in my state, and you know, what are two things from each of you that are so important whenever they're wanting to start a group like this?
Well, I think
I would
go ahead.
I would say be willing to listen. Number one, and be transparent.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have enough trust in those people, and not that we knew each other and we knew that trust existed. Yeah. It had to be developed. And so, but being able to listen, and everybody has been extremely good at listening to each other. But being honest and being able to listen, I think, are the two main things.
I was going to say trust and not being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
That was the two things. And then we already kind of hit on that earlier. But I mean, and as far as we didn't go looking to make the group that we made.
Yeah.
It was, the goals were different at the time, at the moment. Should have known, looking back on it, that it wouldn't stay like that. But and it is what it is, which is for the better.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know if I have an answer as to how to go and start a group like this. It just right place, right time, when the right people were put together for a purpose.
The right basketball game.
I mean,
that's why I believe that it was such a Spirit-led, Holy Spirit-led thing. If somebody's going to try to put something like this together, I think that they have to be like-minded enough that they can begin. You got to have a mutual goal starting out. I would say that find someone in your area that you know is a legitimate, devout Christian.
You can't have a Judas.
No. Yeah. Find somebody like that and start with them, and then pray together and search out who else you're supposed to have in the group, and keep it led that way. And realize that not everybody that is invited is going to end up being a good fit.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Don't go chasing people to have them come, because we all want to be there.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I think our banker friend could have been a really good fit. But the times that when this was going was horrible for him to be a good fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was what it was, you know.
If you have a banker, make sure none of the people in the group are using him as your banker.
That's true.
Well,
Yes, because he's a great guy and he's a devout Christian. He could have been a perfect fit, except that two of the group were using him as their primary lender, and that wasn't going to work.
Well, it doesn't allow you to be totally forthright, knowing that this is your money guy right over here.
well, and at that time,
That was true.
it wasn't good times.
Right.
We were so, not that we were enemies, but we were kind of at odds across the desk at each other every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it was. It just is a sad. It just wrong. Timing was wrong for a reason.
Yep.
How has not necessarily the group? I mean, the group obviously, but how has the ability to, I guess, decompress? How has that changed your family life? Be it the group, just or just being able to talk to somebody about what's going on in the farming world. How has that changed your family life?
Well,
We celebrate our kids' successes, not just like Reagan having a disastrous wreck, but we celebrate Joe's kids showing calves, and my daughter modeling, and Marty's daughter singing, and we celebrate them as well. That's we try to stay associated with their families just as well.
Right.
And I don't know, we've actually had to get on to a guy or two. You need to go take a vacation. You need to take the kids and go do something.
Yeah.
You're too wound up. You're too tight.
Yeah.
there's balances in life, and I think as far as that's the thing. I mean,
I think our group's become the check.
we're busy. I was talking about being a businessman earlier, but I mean, you got balances that you got to take care of, especially if you got a family. And if anything from this comes today, I hope people take that they really, they've probably worried about something too much.
Yeah.
They've focused on it too much. They fought it too much. And there's a lot of that to be said at times too. I mean, sometimes we try to do too much. Even in the aspect, I can bring Brian on the farm. He'll always find a way to spend my money. I mean, not really, but I mean, sometimes we just, I worry about going this drought because we've kind of been in the things that are going on. We've been through this before.
Yeah.
And that's what got us in the boat we were in 3 or 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Financially was we were too aggressive at times, or we're trying to force the issue.
Yeah.
And if it ain't gonna work, it ain't gonna work. If it don't look like it's gonna work, it's and you obviously got to plant the seed in order for God to bring the rain. But sometimes, I don't know how to explain it. You just got to have just be able to figure out that, golly, maybe I'm pushing it to me,
Yeah.
So anyway, and it gets back into risk management. There's
I
just
like what you
balances.
said earlier, Joe, about how there's things that we talk about with these men that we can't talk about with our wives, or don't. We
Yeah.
could, but we don't. And seeing that most of our wives don't have a whole lot to do with our operations. Marty's the exception. Crystal is very active in his operation. And then Gary has gone through a pretty rough time with his wife.
Right.
And so, helping them through that. But there's certain things that it's just much easier to talk to.
We are pausing for a moment to remind you that even though you may not have a band of brothers like these guys, you're not alone. We have resources to answer questions if you're dealing with mental health struggles. You can find them on our website at reddirtagronomy.com. Again, the guys asked that we put their contact information on there too, so that you can reach out to them to help start your group as well. Now back to the conversation. Coming up, they're all going to talk about their breaking points and how each one of them made their decision to continue on. You are listening to the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast.
We're continuing the conversation on mental health on the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast here, and we're here with a group of guys from north central Oklahoma, south central Kansas, who have formed a band of brothers, just a group for them to bounce ideas off of and really help each other through the hard times and celebrate the victories, whenever there are those. One thing that a lot of folks don't think about until it's too late is the depression, is the really dark times, the potential for suicide. Let's just dive into that. Have you? We don't need specifics, but have any members of the group had those really dark times, and has the group kind of helped them through it?
Never had.
Oh,
I would say yes.
okay. Hang on just a second.
I was going to say I had never personally dealt with anything like that, so to speak, but what I wanted to, I mean, I've been through some rough times, really rough, and sleepless nights. And a thing that needs to be put out there that we all know, but needs to be, a farmer's identity is his independence.
Yeah.
And the thing that troubled me was when I thought, well, if I end up I can't farm anymore, I've lost my identity. Now, I've had some other jobs in the past that helped, supplement the farming, and they were professional, high-paying jobs. I never identified myself as that job.
Yeah.
In fact, I was actually, it was a way of means, but I was unhappy. I mean, it was a good job, and I was glad to have it, and I did it, and I enjoyed it. But I wasn't happy like I am doing what I'm doing now. It's just, it wasn't my identity, and I always thought, well, man, if I can't do, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? Where am I going to? So, and that may be a little bit, I think it needs to be prefaced that farmer identifies as being an independent farmer or rancher, whichever it is, it's just, and so I think that was, if I did really get to that point and have to deal with depression, that was going to be a big part of it.
I know Joe at one time said to me, and he's not the only one of the group, one-on-one, but am I going to be the generation that loses the generational farm?
Yeah.
So I remember growing up 12 years old plowing fields, worried about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, me too.
That,
from the time I was very, very young.
Because it's a generational thing. I farm a farm that has never, ever been sold. Mm-hmm. Ever.
It's not really mine either. I'm just a steward for the next generation.
Right.
Yeah, we're just a steward for the next generation. Everybody in our group is very soil-minded and protecting the soil, not overgrazing, not conservation-wise. That's a big deal. We're not necessarily paid for conservation.
Right.
We do it because the next generation needs it.
I've seen
the next 5 generations need it.
I had seen,
but depression can come from that
weight
that I have to preserve this for the next generation. Now that can be stressful, or it can be a goal. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it as a goal instead of a stress, it takes a lot of off and make it exciting and challenging. So, Tom and I have these conversations. Man, look at this. We can plant these 3 cover crops and leave these out because they're not really doing us our thing, doing what we need them to. But if we plant these and what they're going to do for the soil and the next crop to come behind it, and you know what, 5 years down the road, we're going to be in this rotation. And what is that going to do for the soil? And Tom farms quite a bit of flood ground. I'm not blessed like that. Everything I have is on top of the hill.
And, grass is always greener.
And I got the side
exactly. He floods. I drought out. So sometimes it's at the same time.
It's the same time.
Anyway, but his cover crop may be different because when the flood water comes across it, it'll wash off soil. Mm-hmm. Whereas, my cover crop, I need to hold soil from running off the top of the hill. And so, we have these challenges, but instead of being a negative challenge, and you can look at, I used an example. This cover crop was an example. This is not any challenge is an opportunity for a positive challenge.
Right.
How am I going to do this? Think it out. We have a group that we can bounce ideas off of each other that makes us stronger, that we can look at it and develop for our situation from ideas from each other. And so that's what makes us stronger is putting our minds together. And Tom's done a lot in the cover crop stuff. I've done a lot in fertility. Joe's done a lot of cattle stuff and marketing. I mean, we each have strengths.
I'm pretty sure, not positive, I'm pretty sure I would have had some problems with depression, significant ones, were it not for this group.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Because of what, the circumstances of life over the last year, I was at risk of becoming very depressed.
Yeah.
And because I had this group in the trenches with me and, in the air, so to speak, praying for me.
Right.
Spiritually, they kept me, online. They kept my perspective correct. So I don't think we've had a major bout with depression within our group that we've had to really work through, because we try to make sure that doesn't happen. So we're preventing that from ever getting there. And you only know how to do that if you know somebody well. You got to get to know them and stay in communication with them, or you won't see it coming. But we're able to see it coming with each other. Very, very important to head that off before it gets to the point where it's the point of no return ultimately would be suicide. So it's very, very important to keep that. Prior to this group, like in 2011, I had a problem physically with electrolytes. I lost a ton of weight, and it was so hot and dry. Irrigation pivot getting start twice a day. I went nuts, and I can remember going down a dirt road at 80 mile an hour, coming up on a river bridge. And I looked and I thought, this is all over. I had my insurance paid up really well. All I have to do is move my steering wheel 1 inch.
Yeah.
I remember that thought very, very well. And I'm in the river, and it's all over. I get to graduate to a better place, to live as Christ and to die as gain. And I thought, I get to graduate. Nobody will really know that I did that, so it's not going to impact the family name. It's an accident. And all these thoughts went through my mind. I went on across the bridge. I turned right, drove through a soybean field that was about 2 foot tall with my pickup right through the middle of it, went and hid out and got on the phone and called a Christian brother and sister that I had.
Yeah.
And I called my wife and said, pray right now, because I just had a really bad thought. And what we do, we left. We left for a month. And I told everybody, we're not coming back. We're going up into the mountains. We're not coming back until the high is below 90. And it was true. My son was late getting back for football. My daughter missed her summer softball practice. Didn't matter. We came back about 3 days after school started. The high was 89 degrees. But I didn't have people to fall back on at that time. Yeah. I didn't have people to recognize that was coming.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have this band of brothers. And now we do. So before that can happen, I've got these guys.
It's kind of a safety valve, a check valve.
Right.
That's you guys talked about farmers love to be independent. That's kind of but that's also, especially if you don't know you're getting towards that. And it's not even depression. Sometimes just being down, being independent by yourself, alone with your thoughts, sometimes is the worst time to be in those kind of situations. And unfortunately, in ag, and it's not just farmers. You're talking about the folks, the sales individuals, sometimes the applicators, those kind of things. Everybody spends a lot of time by themselves with their thoughts, and that can be a very damaging time when you're by yourself.
Some of the best places and some of the worst places is the hours in the field in a cab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can be either way.
Yeah.
2011, I was 3/4 of a mile across a soybean field, and it happened to be one of Marty's. It was 10:30 in the morning. I was in the 32nd field of the day.
Wow.
And it was 104 at 10:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And my lights started going out. And I, thank goodness it was 30-inch row beans. If I walk between these two rows till I hit the headlands, and I have to turn left to get to my pickup. And I made it. I'd quit sweating. I was done. And I made it there. And I called my wife and I said, we have to leave. And we went on vacation that day for a week. And all I wanted to do was go stand in the ocean. Tom went to the mountains. I stood in the Gulf, but it was a lot cooler than where I'd been. And, you know, I was about done.
Yeah.
But all I had to do was sit down in that field and it's all over.
Yeah.
The insurance paid up. That's all that had been all over. And I was ready to give up, but I didn't. And
you've heard
the
all
crops
of us,
were all burnt up. I mean, there was nothing
Yeah.
that we could do for anything.
Yeah.
and you've heard all three of us reference that time frame.
Yeah.
And the financial problems that we worked our way out of that took years, 5, 6, 7 years to work our way out of that. And it was during this time of trying to navigate the losses that we'd taken in that one disastrous year. And that's whenever we came together.
Yeah.
So it was at a time whenever we were very open. We were all very, very open to getting some help one way or another. And it was, I don't know, how long have we been in this group now, guys?
3 years?
3, 4. I think it's 4.
Yeah.
So it would have been around when? Would that have been 2018? So yeah,
I went to school at OSU. I can't do that.
We'd spent years trying to fight our way out of this, for a long time, and finding each other was it wasn't anything Joe and I did in that
Right.
place. It was definitely a godsend.
No, I don't. Somebody asked me, well, who started it? How do you start it? No, you don't start it. It just happened.
It forms.
Pray.
Yep.
It wasn't our will for it to start. Somebody else's will.
Right.
Yeah.
And Tom, you had a good point, and I want to go back to it. Is sometimes you won't have this group for years to come, but never be afraid to just reach out.
Yeah.
If you're having those feelings or you're
Absolutely.
just getting down, reaching out isn't a point of weakness.
It's okay.
Probably a point of strength.
It is a point of strength. There's no
Yeah.
doubt it is. And that's not something that you understand at the time.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in the battle, you don't understand it. But it's only on reflection
Yeah.
that you can see the strength that was in that phone call, or that moment of transparency whenever you were able to say, this is what I'm in. This is something beyond me as a person. And which is tough, like we said before, we're all multi-generational farms. We're all, matter of fact, I think we're all centennial farms.
Wow.
All of us are. So that pressure that comes to maintain that and to pass it on. And really the way that I've handled that, and I think a lot of us have, is to see the land not as owned, but see the land as something that you are simply a steward. It's like that joke, where a guy goes out in his field after he made his last land payment, and he kneels down and he's got his fingers running through it, and he's on his knees. He goes, finally, it's all mine. I just made my last land payment. And God quietly whispers in his ear, that's what the last guy said. It's not ours.
Yeah.
Well, it's not so much a material thing. I mean, it is. The farm is material. But that farm represents an opportunity to be free thinking,
Yeah.
independent, to be able to be free, and it's for my great grandfather to come on a land run, stake a claim, and have that opportunity. Somebody give him that opportunity, and knowing that this could impact his generations below him, But once it's sold and it's gone, and a generation decides not to come home to it, it's gone forever.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest thing you can ever think to somebody being able to start to farm, I'm sure there's exceptions, but is somebody making a lot of money and wanting to do it for a hobby when they're 65 years old, and it's just once it's gone, it's gone. So I'm 1, 2, 3, 4th generation. My kids will be 5th if somebody will come back. Hope that somebody does, but that's their own choices to make. But I don't want to squander. So that's the pressure that I put on myself.
Yeah.
Or have in the past. So, in fact, as is right now, I don't have any of the family land in my name. Has not been turned over to me yet. Always thought it'd be neat when it does. Quite frankly, it wouldn't bother me if it skipped me and went to the next generation, because I don't have to worry about losing it either.
Right.
Yeah.
My place wasn't, and that just blows a lot of people that's going to listen to this mind.
Or it won't. People will relate to that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
I'm at a little different place in our operation in that we're, both my parents have passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I took over whenever I was 26, 100%.
Yeah.
Due to tragedies within it seems like I've had a life of tragedies, but my dad couldn't do it anymore. My mom still wanted to run the books, but did not want to be daily management. So our transition happened years and years ago.
Yeah.
And so I'm at the place now where I'm working on transitioning it to my kids.
Yep.
And Laurie and I had our first real conversation on retirement a week ago. Haven't even talked to these guys about that.
Yeah.
And starting to make written plans on how we're going to go about this retirement.
That's funny, because my wife and I did too.
Really?
Last
Yep.
week.
Yeah. And so we're going to kind of pave the way for, Joe's younger, Marty's younger, Gary's younger.
Right.
And we'll learn a lot that we can bring to these guys and help them whenever it's time for them to do that. So it's just another benefit that, I'm not the oldest, which is good. Brian's definitely the oldest in the group. by a few months is all, I guess. Yeah. But it is as these new things come, instead of me being scared of it and nervous about it, it is exciting. Attitude is so big, and Brian's talked a lot about that today. Mm-hmm. The attitude that you have to have as a new opportunity comes up. And Laurie and I are very excited to retire. That's not something that farmers do very much. Most of them die in a cab.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I want the business to be able to be transitioned efficiently into the next generation. And I have 2 kids that have now decided to come, and both of them live within 4 miles of me now, which is...
That's great.
I don't know. They're too close. They're in the donut hole, You want them to live in the donut. You don't want them to live outside the donut, like thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
But you don't want them to live in the donut hole either, where they're in your backyard. And that's kind of where they are right now.
Same
4 miles.
Parents.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, but it's an exciting new time, and I hope that this transition will go well. But I've got these guys to. What do y'all think about this? Is this kind of a plan that maybe you all have heard about before? Mm-hmm. Or what do you think about this plan? And I can bring it all out before we start activating the plan. And I can have 4 other incredibly intelligent, caring brothers that are willing to, be brutally honest with me. Hey, don't be a dumbass. This is something you don't need to do.
Yeah.
So,
and when you do retire, are you still going to lean on them for advice?
Absolutely. We've got a lifelong bond that we've developed here that we will always be a part of. And it might be that we help those that, come in after us develop their own group.
Yeah.
I think that would be a part of our heritage, that we could show them how to develop a group and give them suggestions on how to do that. But my son's now actively in management with me, but he doesn't come to our group.
Yeah.
He's been before to eat breakfast with us as a guest.
Was he blindfolded and told,
no, it's not.
Look at the wall. We're going to have our conversation over here. So as we kind of wrap this up a little bit, what are some takeaways that producers across the Great Plains need to be thinking about as far as mental health and just the fact of reaching out and seeking help and talking to folks?
I think if somebody needs or wants, give us a call.
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter. Tom's on Twitter. I know Marty and these guys are on Facebook. Gary's on Twitter. We're accessible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Type in our name and you've got a hold of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually amazing how much that already happens.
Yeah.
I mean, we get contacted by people that young farmers. I've had calls where they say, "Hey, what do I do?"
Yeah.
Not to start a group, but just they're in a spot where they're mentally weak at the time.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Because in that weakness is when you find your greatest strength.
Exactly.
Right.
It really is. If you're willing to be open, honest, and transparent, and you get to that weak point, you're the strongest when you make the phone call.
Mm-hmm. It does. It takes a little bit of being humble and just saying, "Hey, I need help,"
Mm-hmm.
and there's strength in that.
Yeah.
There really is strength in that. So what other takeaways should folks take away from this whole conversation?
Well, you've heard me say it several times. My biggest thing is guys got to really pay attention to balance.
Yeah.
You need your support group, but you've got to be able to analyze and balance the things in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And first and foremost, that for me is relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, it'd be my family, and then it goes on from there.
Yeah.
Nothing else behind that is important as the first two.
Right.
So, third week of July, we take a vacation. Sometimes I have to fight with football coaches or whatever. They're not part of that balance, and that my family looks forward to that. I've got a kid that's a freshman here in college right now, and to this day, it's our whole family looks forward to those 2 weeks we go and we get away.
Yeah.
And the worst anxiety is when I come down out of the mountains and my phone starts dinging with a million messages because I've been out of phone service. Oh my gosh! But I finally, after 20-some years of doing that, it doesn't bother me like it used to.
Brian.
No, yeah. Sometimes.
Brian, what's your takeaway?
Oh, five closest friends define you.
Yeah.
And
who are they? Oh, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, some people might say, you got one?
Right.
How do you come up with five?
Right.
Trust me, they're out there, but you got to be a friend for them.
Mm-hmm. You got to give first.
You got to give first, and if you're willing to give and be able to accept somebody else's issues, and whether they're good or bad issues, and be able to listen, they'll be there for you as well.
Well, and you ain't gonna find anybody with a perfect personality,
right?
You can't be critical of Tom's dimples or whatever. It just you got to be kind of like a marriage. Somebody may annoy you with.
Guys, I got to fight them off.
My personality probably is grumpy old, at times, but
there's one in every group.
They've never said nothing to me about it. So
he's grouchy.
He tries to be the most negative out of the whole group, but
But he does it on purpose.
Probably.
He's not. He purposes to try to be negative within the group. Although whenever I talk to you one-on-one, you're not. You're pretty optimistic. So it's kind of funny how you come to the group with, doom and gloom, but it's not true. You got to have my takeaway would be a couple of them. One is what Joe said that was impactful to me even today, is that we identify as what we do instead of who we are.
Right.
And this group helps us to identify as who we are, brothers and sisters in Christ.
Yep.
First. Yep. Instead of identifying only as a farmer. The world, quote unquote, world sees us as farmers. We're that farmer, that rancher, that cattleman, whatever. And then the other thing is, guys, it's a lot of fun whenever you try to outgive everybody else. When you get to the point where you're trying to outgive everybody else, it's like a good marriage. You have to outgive your wife if you're going to have a successful marriage, or try to.
Yeah.
And then she has to try to outgive you. It's the same way in this group. When everybody is trying to be the one that gives the most, all of a sudden it becomes a lot of fun. And it brings laughter. We laugh a lot. We laugh more than we do anything.
Yeah.
We cry a little bit, but we laugh a whole lot.
And just, being with you guys the past hour or so, it has been a lot of fun. And you do see that positive reinforcement of each other and all of that. And I just want to say thank you guys for sitting down with me and Josh and Jason to, talk about mental health and just the why it's important to lean on folks and make it through this little thing we call life. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. And if you would like to join the conversation in the future, send us an email, podcast@reddirtagronomy.com, or send us a tweet, and our handle is Red Dirt Ag. To find any of the resources that we talked about today on the podcast, visit reddirtagronomy.com. There you will find show notes, links to contact information for our guests, and other information that we talked about on the show. For Dr. Josh Lofton, Dr. Jason Warren, and Dr. Brian Ernell, I am the not a doctor, but I play one on a podcast, Dave Deacon, and we'd like to thank you for listening. The proceeding is a copyrighted presentation of Agnow Media, LLC, 2022. And yes, all rights are reserved.